Welcome, kiddos. Feeling pretty good right now. I got a fresh cut, as you can see. I think feeling like a new man. Beard's starting to come in thicker, so that's always good. I might be growing this bad boy out for a while, just seeing how big I can get it and if I can maintain it. So I'm excited for this lesson. I really am. As you can see, we're still doing absolute value. Okay, you can see the absolute value up here. It says absolute value, obviously, and I switched up my colors a little bit. I got purple. I lightened my green a little bit. I changed my blue. Like I'm just ready for this week. You can tell. But what's different is we actually have some inequalities now. We had absolute value equations before with the equal sign, but now we have some inequalities. And there's one distinction I kind of want to make here. And if you're taking notes, which I think you should, give me one, actually I can't even get rid of that. I should have done that earlier. But the one distinction I want to make is the signs. If this arrow is pointing away, and I can I'll reference this as we're going through it. We've got some options. Right? If the arrow's pointing away or the arrow's pointing to, we've got different options. What that's going to mean, and you're going to see, and we can kind of fill this in as we make we'll come up and fill this in later as we make some inferences in regards to like us doing the math and seeing what happens. Okay, so we'll come back to this. This is like a trend, kind of a trick that we can shortcut. But I don't want to teach you the shortcuts before I teach you the math. How about I teach you the math and then we discover what the shortcut is as we kind of go through. So sorry, my wife was just texting me about the baby. Just put her down. So life is good. Let's kind of attack this. And the first thing I want you to see is the absolute value by itself. Remember, that's always our goal. Down here, the absolute value is not by himself, right? You can see that we have that -2 there. But I'm actually going to rewrite this problem a little bit. We've got our 6n. We've got the sign. The arrow's pointing to, right? The arrow's pointing to the absolute value. And we have 18. Now, I want you to make an observation here that the absolute value is by itself. We don't care how much junk is in the box, okay? That doesn't determine whether it's by itself or not, okay? Is this absolute value box by himself? Yes. Is this one by himself? No. We have the little 5 over there, or we have the -2 right next to him. So we know that once the absolute value is by himself, we can split them up. Now watch how this is a little different than what we learned last week. We're going to say, hey, 6n. We're going to keep the sign the same, and we're going to say 18. For the second one, we're going to say 6n, flip the sign. That's new. That's new material. And then last week we taught that, hey, we make it -18. So the new twist, like the plot twist today, right, is that, hey, on the second one, we flip the sign. Flip, sign. That's what we did there. We flipped that sign. See how it's this way here? It's flipped there. And then we always make that second one negative. Okay, so let's go through an attack. Let's divide 6. And let's do the same thing over here. Divide 6. And let's see what we get. It looks to me like that's going to cancel. That's going to cancel. We have n this way. And what is that? 3? Okay, then we have over here n, the sign's going this way, and we have -3. So we have 2 inequalities now, right? There's 2. So we need to graph them. Okay, so we're just going to go above the 3, and we're going to make it closed. And it's not eating the n, so it's less than, so it's going to the left. This guy is above the -3, and he's closed also. Okay, and it's eating the n, so we're going to the right. So these guys are actually going towards each other. You can graph it like that. Okay, arrow going this way, arrow going this way. Or if you prefer, it's up to you. You can fill it all the way in between. It doesn't matter to me. The key is if the arrows are going towards each other, okay, that means we have to write the word and here. that means and. Okay, so remember up here I was looking at, do you see how the arrow's pointing towards the absolute value? The arrow's pointing towards the absolute value. That means that our arrows are going to be going towards each other, and we have to use the word and. Okay, that's what we've noticed so far. Okay, let's do the same thing here and see if the rules apply to the same thing. Okay, so we have our absolute value, it's by itself, so technically we can split it up, right? We can say P plus 4 is less than or equal to 8. And on the second one, we say P plus 4. What do we do here? We flip the sign, that's right, and we make it negative 8. Okay, let's go and subtract 4 from both sides. Gone. Subtract 4 from both sides. Gone. And it looks to me like we have P, that sign, and 4. And we have over here P, a reversed sign. And what is that going to be? If you owe 8 and you owe 4, then you owe 12. Okay, now let's graph these. I'll change color so we can see easily up here. Above the 4, it's going to be closed. And it's going to, it looks like it's not eating the variable, so it's going to the left. And above the negative 12, it's closed. And it's eating the P, so that means it's going to be going to the right. Okay, and since they're going towards each other, we use the word and. And I like to circle my answers. Once we get back into school, you'll be able to do the same thing because that's how I like it. And let's see if the pattern reigned true, if the trick reigned true. See how that guy's pointing towards the absolute value? Pointing towards the absolute value. That means that they're going to be going towards each other, and it's going to be and. So that's really our big trick that I can write maybe in green up here, is if it's pointing to the absolute value, it doesn't matter if there's a line underneath or not, right? This guy means they're going to be going towards each other, and we have and. So what do you think we can make some sort of guess, right, on what's going to happen here? Do you see how the arrow is pointing away from the absolute value? They're not going to be going towards each other. Maybe they're going to be going away from each other. And we're not going to use the word and, we're going to use the word or here. So let's see if that kind of prediction reigns true down here, because for number 5, you can see that the arrow is pointing away from the absolute value. So remember, we can't split this guy up into 2 unless we first get the absolute value by itself. So let's subtract 5 and subtract 5. Right? And what we have over here is what? What's 11 minus 5? 6. So I'll get rid of this guy and I'll put a 6 here. And now we can split them up because the absolute value is by itself. Okay, it looks like we have x, this sign, and 6. And then we have x, flip the sign, right? We're going to flip him. And we're going to make this what? Negative 6. Okay, the great thing about this problem is it's like the answer's right there. Okay, so what do we have going on? We have at the 6, it's a closed point. It's a closed point. It's eating the x, so it's going to the right. Oh man, that's kind of like what we set up here. Okay, down here, look, we're over the negative 6 and it's closed. Okay, is it eating the x? No, so it's going to the left. It's exactly what we said if this arrow is pointing away from the absolute value. And this is why it's so important that you take good notes, because you can use these notes on your homework assignment today. You can use these notes on the quiz. Okay, so take good notes. Now, what do I say if they're going apart from each other like that? We're going to say or. Okay? So technically there's two parts to your answer. The graph, if we were in school, this would be worth a lot of points. This would be worth a point. This would be worth a point. The or would be worth a point. Did you get this right? Did you get this right? This would be like a 5-point question. Okay, because there's a lot of stuff you have to get right. Okay, a lot. So let's go up to number 6, and I want you to try 6 on your own. So go ahead and pause. And this is so important that you kids actually do these practice problems, right? So pause, stretching, attack 6, press play when you're done, and then we'll go over it. Okay, so our first step is we want to get the absolute value by itself. So we're going to add 2 and add 2, right? And that's gone. So it looks like we have m, well, the absolute value of m, I don't want to forget that, is greater than 2. Okay, is the absolute value by itself? Yes. So now we can split them up. We can split them up into 2. We can say m is greater than 2, just how it is. And then we say m, flip the sign, and make this negative. Finally, we have a problem with no line underneath. So we know it's going to be open. So it's open above 2. It's eating the variable, so it's going to the right. That means greater than. Okay. It's open above negative 2. It's not eating the variable, so it's going to the left. Okay. And this is an or situation. So what I want to tell you is if you really get the trick down, if you really, really get the trick down and you see this, you see there's our absolute value and it's pointing towards. You don't even have to graph this and use your brain that much because you already know it's going to be towards each other and it's and. Okay? Or remember, if the arrow's pointing away, you can say, oh, I already know that they're going to be going apart and it's or. Okay, so if you can catch on to that kind of that trick, then you don't even have to go through the graphing sequence, right? As much as you would, you can kind of just use that shortcut. Okay, so what I want you to do now is number 9 on your own. Okay, make sure you get that guy over there. Then you can split it up and kind of attack, and press pause, attack 9. And then we'll come back when you're done, press play, and we can go over it. Okay, so we're back. The first thing you probably did, I really love this blue color that I chose, is the first thing you probably did was add 5 to both sides, right? Because you wanted to get rid of this 5. And great thing is I've got a ton of room down here. So it looks like we have the absolute value of x minus 2. We have the arrows pointing towards, right, the absolute value, which we like. And then this over here is going to be 3. Okay, is the absolute value by itself on the left? Yes, it is. So we can split them up. We can say x minus 2, 3. X minus 2, flip the sign, right? Negative 3. Okay, so we got one more step, which would be add 2, add 2, add 2, add 2. And we've got x 5, x negative 1, I think. Okay, and if you want to use your trick and say, oh man, the arrow's pointing towards the absolute value, let me look at my notes. I know that's an and I know they're going to be going towards each other. If you just want to use that shortcut, that's great. Okay, so let's come up here. I'm going to use my green. We haven't touched green yet. So above 5, it's open. And just to double check, it's not eating the variable, so it's going to the left. Above negative 1, right? It's eating the variable, so it's going to the right. So our trick actually reigned true, right? And make sure you circle this bad boy, because this is part of your answer and the graph is part of your answer. There's 2 parts. Okay? 2 parts. Number 10, last one for today. Attack 10. This is practice. It's so important. Practice is the most important thing we could do. And I'm not giving you 50 problems for practice, so make sure you just do what I'm asking. Press pause, attack. We'll come back and we'll go over it and be done for this lesson. Alrighty, let's get it. Let's get this negative 3 over there. We're going to add 3. We're going to add 3. Okay, that's going to cancel that. We're going to have x minus 4. It's pointing towards, isn't it? So it's going to be what? It's going to be and, right? And they're going to be going like this towards each other. Okay, and then 5 plus 3 is 8. Now the absolute value is by himself, so we can split them up. We'll say x minus 4, that sign, 8. Okay, and we'll say x minus 4, flip the sign, negative 8. Okay, add 4 to both sides, gone. Add 4 to both sides, gone. And we have x, this sign, and 12. And then we've got x, this sign, and negative 4. Okay, we don't know whether it's, we do if we use the shortcut, we can say, oh, it's and, but let's just double check. Okay, at 12, it's open. It's not eating the variable, so it's going to the left, less than. At negative 4, it's open, right? It's eating the x, so it's going to the right, greater than. If they're going towards each other, then we know it's and. Our little trick reigned true, of course, again. And there you have it. Okay, that's part 1 of the lesson. And just so you know, the notes that I gave you are the exact same. I just blurred out some spaces so I had room to work. Okay? Part 2 is going to be down here. We're going to kind of get a little crazier with some of these problems. And that's it. So I'll see you for the next lesson. Good stuff, kiddos.